Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Although Mr. DeFazio has, I think, dissected this issue very effectively, as he's known to do, I do have a couple questions. And I first want to note, I know a lot of communities throughout the country invest a lot in resiliency and in mitigation, and that is certainly the case in the Florida Keys, and not just to mitigate against the risks of traditional flooding and disasters, which we're accustomed to in Florida, but Florida Keys is also leaning forward and thinking about climate change and rising sea levels, natural when you live at sea level near the sea. So I know just how much communities like the Florida Keys invest and dedicate resources to these efforts. So, Mayor Carruthers, I want to ask you, these RPAs, and mitigation is important to this committee. I've actually filed legislation with support of Chairman Barletta to promote smarter mitigation throughout the country, but does anything in these RPAs and this policy scheme promote smarter mitigation policies that are making the Florida Keys less vulnerable?
Thank you, Congressman, for your question. You know, as I see that, no. In other words, the RPAs don't have anything to do with how one would mitigate if one were to build. It only has to do with where one builds, and those issues are already addressed through our restrictions, such as our categorization of each property based on its environmental sensitivity, based on its location, whether it's near a population center or US 1 or not, based on its habitat quality. So that doesn't really have anything to do with mitigation against damage from flood.
And Mr. Grimm, I want to ask you, NFIP in the Florida Keys is a way of life. It's just part of who we are. And I have an interest in representing my community and preserving a strong, robust, healthy NFIP. Do you fear that some of these policies could undermine NFIP and perhaps could ultimately encourage communities to opt out and weaken the program?
From a FEMA perspective, what I'm concerned about is inconsistent implementation across the nation as a result of the RPAs and as we implement regulations that affect all communities. As you know, Congress designed the NFIP to be implemented at the local and state level where land use authority resides, and that's how we've been implementing it since 1968, and working with communities to make smart mitigation strategies and implement mitigation decisions.
So do you perceive any threats to the NFIP as a result of these issues that we're encountering in Oregon and throughout the country?
I think the inconsistent implementation of the NFIP across the nation could be a significant challenge.
Thank you very much. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.